Workspace Podcast is recorded at Workspace Provision Co. in Youngsville, North Carolina. If you would like to get involved or sponsor our next episode, email us workspacepodcastnc@gmail.com. Workspace Provision Co., your spot to create, connect, and grow. Flexible offices and event spaces made for entrepreneurs and dreamers. Come see what's possible. To learn more, visit workspaceprovision.com.
A business hub where you can go. It's a Workspace Provision Co. A business hub where you can go. It's a Workspace Provision Co.
Hello, everybody. This is Grant with Workspace Podcast. We're in the bonsai room of Workspace Provision Co., 14101 Capitol Boulevard, and I am with a very special guest. His name is Steve Wall. Steve Wall is I hear, greatest luxury real estate agent in this area. Who are you? Tell us about yourself. Take 60 seconds and brag about yourself, and then we'll go into some questions and get to know you and what makes you tick.
Sure. Thank you for the introduction. I appreciate being here.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest moniker is certainly not deserved. I have a big team around me. I have extensive business background in various industries, right? So long story short, Reader's Digest version, I watched my wife for the better half of over a decade from afar, right? She was always in real estate, did a really good job, worked for big brokerage houses. And I just would watch, right? Trying to identify, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, have been part of startups, big corporations as well. Was mainly always in the sales and marketing area, even if it was trying to find somebody. I would always have somebody run the business, right? From running the business aspect and do what I did well. I'm from Eastern North Carolina. I'm very, very simple-minded, which is a real advantage, I think, in business because it's allowed me to really look at the things that are important, right? Mm-hmm. So with any business that I've ever started, any business I've been a part of, it's always been, if you are obsessed with the client and the client outcome and you just start with that, then you would be okay. It didn't matter what business. And so I watched her from afar, part of a big brokerage, had an incredible teammate that she learned a ton from. And I would say that lady was a true salesperson. And so I would identify the gaps and the things that were happening in the real estate industry and really truly how much one person could do. If you look, then I started doing some research and it's how can you serve more people without losing exactly what it is that makes you special as a realtor, right? So it was in her case, you can't handle but 3 or 4 things because there's so much minutia and so many different things in a real estate transaction or just a relationship is very, very complicated and each one's different. So I was able to look at that for a while and it's like, I really had to decide if I had the energy, one more good run in me to build something out, how I thought it could be built out. Right. And so I felt like there were holes here and there. We could put systems and processes in place that I had developed other places that would work beautifully into real estate, right? Which streamlined some of those things that I felt like were taking her or taking just these big brokerages a long, long time. And you'll see, a fascinating thing I've seen now, Grant, is the like all these brokerages are really, really trying to stay relevant, the big brokerages, right? And so while it's a wonderful thing for the independent boutique brokerage houses, which what we wanted to build, we wanted to concentrate in the luxury space, right? So we had those ramifications. We wanted to make sure we partnered with the finest home builders in Raleigh that were building the luxury homes and put the systems in place where technology is growing so quickly now, right? So it's AI, it's this system. There's brilliant, smart people out there that are coming up with different systems and marketing avenues. The AI, you don't know what's going to be around the corner next time. As a boutique, and I can snap something on tomorrow, right? I don't have to take an email. I don't have to contact my IT department and say, oh, this is the latest and greatest now, and try to move this big ship, right? I just have to move our company. So I really do feel like we have an extreme advantage now because we're able to do that. So that's how I got into all this, right? I felt like after watching her, there was a better way. And if I had the energy to do something else, we could do it and do it well. And so it's been a fantastic ride in a short period of time. It's enabled, we were very, very lucky. And I say we, it's my clients. It has nothing to do with us. It's the relationships, right? They keep referring us business. So it's not like anything we're doing special except using those processes. And the main thing you have got to do, and we do, and it's a every morning thing, is are we doing the very best job we can for our clients? Whether it's in marketing, it's sales, it's just communication, it's all of those things. If you're obsessed with the client and the outcome and the result has got to matter, right? It's not going to make any difference to me or anybody on our team. It's no longer about the money. It's all about, like, are we making a difference in somebody's lives? And we really, really, truly believe that we are. And if we can't answer that question positively going forward, we'll do something else.
Yeah, that's excellent. I want to know too, you're in the what we deem as the luxury sector, I guess, of real estate. What does that mean? What is a luxury home here in the Raleigh area?
It's a great question, and it's something that people ask me all the time, right? So how I define luxury and how you define luxury, or somebody else may define luxury, can be totally different. You have agents, right, that I would say luxury is, to me, $2 million and up, million and a half and up. You're starting to get into that luxury space, right? So a luxury resale, beautiful, beautiful home built 5-10 years ago, may have sold for $1.2 million and now it's worth $2 million. Right. So you're seeing a lot of that. So more than just a price tag, it's, I think, and I define it by livability, right? What are the features in that house that somebody that comes to us and say, we are in the luxury space. We have X amount of income. We are looking for this particular house. They aren't looking, Grant, always for a particular price point. They're looking for location. They're looking for the finishes and fixtures in the house. Does it have the pool? Does it have all the luxury amenities? And how does this house live? Does it live feeling like I'm in a luxury home? So we have listings now from anywhere from $1 million to $9.5 million, right? So each one of those houses has some luxury elements as part of it. So it's hard to define exactly that. It's more, I always take it back to the client, right? So luxury to you, you're looking for your dream house, means something different to me, right? It might be an outdoor feature that I feel is luxurious. It might be an elevator in a house that you feel is luxurious. So it's all these different things. But there's some things, and we may get into it later, that I think they're mandatory. If you're going to build a luxury house, you're going to need the luxury pool in the back, right? The finishes inside the house need to be top notch. There's nothing you can go get from Home Depot or Lowe's.
Got it.
And the construction of the house. And so when I say that, and this is a real important part, we've had a lot of builders enter the market. Raleigh's a really, really hot market, right? So we've had a lot of builders come in the last 3, 4, 5 years that typically aren't luxury builders. But because the price points have gotten so high and the infill lots are costing so much, you're having these people enter the marketplace where they're building homes that are selling for $2.5 million. But you compare that to a true luxury builder, in which there's probably 5 or 7 in the triangle that do a really, really good job. The difference is not what you're looking at. It's in 2 years, 3 years, is it holding up? And the luxury, those 5 or 7, I'm very, very closely tied to Raleigh Custom Homes. And so I'll use them as an example. It's the service after the home is built, right? You don't have to go try to find where they are if there's grout missing from a tile. And there's no perfect house built. I don't care if it's $9.5 million or if it's $500,000. Humans are building the houses, right? There's 3,500 different components in a house, all being put together by people. So something is going to not be perfect. It's what happens at that point, right? What's the warranty? When you call somebody or email somebody, are they coming? Do they care about their workmanship? That's the true luxury builder and how I would define luxury. If the definition of luxury, not necessarily price point, just to recap, and the luxury builder, there's a big, big difference. So
Yeah.
it's easy to call yourself A, a luxury realtor, or
Right.
B, a luxury builder.
Okay. That's a great factor. That's a great point to look around the definition or what that means, the word luxury itself. I'm thinking of a couple things. I've watched videos that show a home inspector and his daily life, and he'll be inspecting a $1.5 million house and showing finishes or things that weren't done right, or little things that you would think, that's $1.5 million house and the trim's falling off of it right there because it wasn't installed correctly. So it seems like you have a keen eye to these things that help maybe your clientele find what that luxury home is.
No question. And I have found that, right? So the majority, I would say probably 50 or 60% of my business are people that want to buy a luxury home, getting ready to pour a lot of money into it, a lot of time and energy, and they'll come to me. It's because, and I'll use this as an example. There was a couple out of Texas, and they came in, they were looking for I think their budget was $3.5 million. We want to do this. Well, as we got close to it and they looked at lots, we picked out the lots, they decided, well, I'm not sure why I need you, right? So I've at this point, I don't want to pay the extra money to the builder for your fee. And I said, well, that's totally good. Tell me why. Well, I just don't feel like you're doing anything. My son's an attorney that lives here in town. He can oversee the project. I said, okay, perfect. Wonderful, right? I said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Right.
And I said, the reason that it makes absolutely no sense, what are you going to do? You're in Texas. He doesn't know what he's looking at. I'm coming through that house, and this is a reputable builder. So there is a big trust level there, but there's things that you have to look for, right? You look at it during when they're pouring the foundation, when they're framing it, when the electricians come through, the plumbing, all things. And there's never been an instance where I haven't been going through a house, and even with the finest home builders out there, you notice something, right, that you catch. So there's great value in being associated with home builders that know what they're doing, because you know what to look for, right? So there's a huge advantage to that.
I think that my definition of a luxury home is a Great Gatsby mansion. But then I also think, what is my own dream home? Maybe I'm not quite sure. My family and I are happy in the home we have. It's enough space and whatnot. But continuing on that topic of the definition of a luxury home, I think of, what are luxury homes in the Raleigh area? Maybe where are they? And besides the price point, what are some things in these homes?
Absolutely. So I'll start with, like, where are they? And our company, we've decided, or it was a conscientious decision to work within, I call it the V, right? So when I set it up, you can't be all things to all people. If you really want to be a boutique and be the master of what you're doing, you got to have a finite area in which you work, right?
Okay.
So we work from inside the Beltline to North Raleigh. If you looked on MLS, you would see we have a sale in Clayton, we have a sale here or there, but that's mostly referrals from other people that we want to help out. But our concentrated effort, where we put the sales and marketing, is trying to make sure we're a master of that domain, right? So it starts from inside the Beltline, and then how we break it out. Inside the Beltline to North Hills, to Midtown, North Ridge, and then north of 540, right? So there's 8 zip codes that when we started, we wanted to make sure that we knew these 8 zip codes as well as any realtor in Raleigh. And the reason being is because these people are dependent on you to know what's happening in that wooded area behind there, what's happening in the neighborhood, right? What kind of schools there are. And it's impossible to know everything, right? And it's even hard with the 8 zip codes, but it's something that we made a conscientious effort to do. So I'll start with inside the Beltline. So inside the Beltline, the luxury homes are all, for the most part, infill lots. When I call infill lot, there's a house sitting there, could be 50, 60, 70 years old, probably built for $50,000. That home now costs upwards of $1.2, $1.3 million to tear down and build a big one. Right. So the lots are so expensive in all of these places. They're the most expensive inside the Beltline. then the North Hills boom, and then the Northridge Country Club area. So anywhere in North Raleigh, and I'm sure Cary, Chapel Hill, they have their pockets of places where, they have luxury communities as well. But if you start there inside the Beltline, North Hills, everybody wants to live within walkability of everything that's going on there. So that's a hot place. But you're having to tear down a house to build a house, and the lots are so expensive. You have to build a luxury home because a builder's paid $1 million for the lot.
Yeah.
So you're into $3 million, $4 million before you even get started, right? So
Right.
it's madness. Same at Northridge Country Club.
Okay.
You're tearing down an older house. So you'll see a $9.5 million house, and beside it is a $500,000 house. But it's just the turnover of the neighborhood. And you'll get, as you go further north, you'll get into some gated communities, right? Where you'll have 3-4 builders that are all coming in, and they're going to build houses a minimum of 6,000 square feet, $3.5 million. And they'll build 15, 20, maybe 30 houses in there. So you start to see that you can get more land up north, more acreage, bigger house for a better price point than you are inside the Beltline. So it's all about location, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would think too, these high dollar homes and properties, are there things that are like only as far as what's available? Are there things off the market?
I get asked that all the time.
Okay.
And it's something that luxury agents like to, I think that's a feather in their hat or our hat. I'm going to explain to something. To answer your question, quite frankly.
Yeah.
We have some, of course. The ones that we have are ones where that client doesn't want it broadcast that their house is for sale, right? So that's a specific ask from the client.
Yeah.
Okay. I mentioned to you earlier, I come from different industries, capitalist at heart, right? So I think that the market is the one that will determine why do I want to hide your listing behind some wall or some private little thing, right? And so you're starting to see a lot of that verbiage of private listings while we're testing pricing and all of these things. And I personally think that that's insane. Get the pricing right first. Go to the open market, and the open market is going to provide you and your client a much better price than some secret marketing. The place for the private listings, of course, are those people that just don't want the house advertised for whatever reason, right? And there are valid reasons for some, and we probably have 4 or 5 in our listing portfolio now.
Okay. On the flip side of that, are these houses and properties on the market for a really long time just because of their high? I mean, not everybody's walking around with $4 million liquid in their pocket ready to buy a house.
No, right. Raleigh does have an influx of wealth that's already here.
Yeah.
And people coming from a San Diego or anywhere in California, upstate New York, Connecticut.
Okay.
Right? So they're selling homes up there, moving to a lower tax place here, and they have money in their pocket.
They're downgrading.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, so the big avalanche of those people coming into the market is they're here.
Okay.
Right? They came 2-3 years ago.
Got it.
And so what you encounter is all those builders I was talking about before that had not built, they were buying that land 2 and 3 years ago. And now the house is being built. So we're starting to see for the first time, probably in 10 years in the Raleigh market, that this is truly the buyer has leverage. I'm not going to say it's a buyer's market, but in the luxury space, a house is going to sit there a little bit longer. And I want to take just a second to explain about the new construction luxury.
Okay.
Versus the luxury resale. So 3 years ago, the luxury resale, they could probably ask whatever they wanted to ask because there weren't that many new construction luxury homes. But now with the influx of all these builders, there's a lot of new construction luxury homes, and they're putting pressure on those luxury resales. And I'll define a luxury resale. Yeah. We have one now in our listings. It's $3.4 million. Beautiful home, 6 years old. And to me, that home is superior to maybe 75% of the new construction luxury homes built out there. But because it's new construction, people will grab that before that. And these homes, because there's so many of them in the new construction space, they're putting pressure on those luxury resales. So those luxury resales they're not in no man's land, but they're the ones taking a beating right now. Builders also haven't caught up, I don't think, to the new reality. We're not where we were 2 or 3 years ago. We're still putting these max prices on there. And you can command, if you're one of those 5 or 7 luxury builders, you can wait. But you're seeing houses on the market now 90, 120 days in some instances. So there's not that feeding frenzy for that house anymore because there's more choices.
Yeah. From an economic standpoint or trends in your industry, what drives a demand for a luxury home in your line of work?
The demand for a luxury home is it's price point, of course, but the beauty of Raleigh, right? Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill is you have incredible hospital and healthcare, right? So you can live in Raleigh and you have your choice of the finest healthcare anywhere. Chapel Hill, Durham, same way. Healthcare is very, very important. We are also very, very blessed to have incredible universities, right? You have Duke, you have Chapel Hill, you have NC State. I'm going to say East Carolina. This is down east, but because that's where I went. But anyway, you have this beautiful university system that has embraced technology. And then you have RTP, right? So you have Google, you have Apple, you have Lenovo, you have Red Hat, you have Pendo, you have all of these different companies that Raleigh's really become a tech hub. So you're bringing in some of those jobs as well. So those jobs, they pay real well. So those executives, they're coming in, even startups, you're starting to see some of that. So there's a lot more money in Raleigh than people have any idea, right? And it's a question, if I sit at an open house or something, somebody's like, where are these people getting the money to do this, right? And there can't be many of them. You have the professional athletes, right? But there's not many of those. People think, oh, they're the ones buying all the houses. They're a minute piece of it. Yeah. Right. Like all the hurricanes people, that's not how it works. Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. While we're touching on that topic, have you worked with some famous people?
Well, that's part I have. Right. Yeah. I have. We'll never name names as part of what I do. Right. So part of the importance is the discretion. Right. Yeah. I'm not ever talking about, like somebody said, who bought this house? Who'd you sell this house to? Yeah. Not at liberty to say. Yeah. Just not.
I figured I'd ask at least.
No, you asked the same question everybody asked. Yeah. But I'll say there's athletes, there's rappers, there's big time hedge fund people. They come from all over. But you would recognize the names for certain.
Yeah. How cool is that? Maybe you've answered this question in a couple ways. We were talking about homes that are built or pre-existing. How did you say that? Already standing home or something?
Versus, a luxury resale.
Luxury resale. Thank you. I need to get the verbiage correct.
That's all good.
Let's say I'm going to buy one of these luxury homes, both maybe build it or the resale luxury home. What kind of costs, what kind of additional things would I need to keep in mind then maybe versus buying a, $400,000 house?
It's a great question. And it's a question that most people don't think get asked because if you have $3.5 million, $4 million, $5 million, why are you worried about any extra costs? But it's a question I get from every single one of the people buying the house. Yeah. So it's not like, I got plenty of money. I'm not worried about this.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So the extra costs, right? So the landscaping, to keep an acre's worth of landscaping up, the pool, right? There's that. There's the upkeep of the pool. There's just the upkeep of the house. And you're starting to see in the triangle, Raleigh Custom Homes is one. There's another outfit out of Wilmington that's coming to the market. And that's all they do is they'll this part of their program, right? We'll keep the house up for you. And that's probably a $50,000 to $75,000 value because you're talking about a bigger house, right? Yeah. You're talking about automation, right? The control for everything operating out of your app. Well, somebody's not going to know how to operate something. So somebody's got to be on call. So it's all the various things that are included in that house that are more, I would say, complex, that you're going to need somebody to be able to answer those questions. And for somebody to be available to answer those questions, it costs money, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to think of more than just what's the electricity bill, what's the water bill. It's not those questions. Okay. It's the questions outside of those.
When there's going to be luxury finishes and different wants in this realm, I would think that the costs would be a different ballgame than, I guess, I'm going to call it a regular home. What do you call a regular home?
To me, a home's a home. Okay. And while we do our sales and marketing around the luxury luxury space.
Yeah.
I really do mean this. And I know for certain my wife feels this way, is she and I get as much satisfaction helping that first-time homeowner buy that first house. That home to them, to me, my first home, meant more than any home I'm living in right now.
Oh, I know.
And there's no question about that, right?
Yeah.
So the satisfaction you see and like that's how I define a home. So to me, every home's luxurious to the particular client. Right?
Yeah, right. My first home was in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and it was so small that I could plug a vacuum in and reach my entire house from one plug.
Sure, yeah, right.
But we were living like, my wife and I, we were like, we're royalty. We feel like this is our dream we've been living for.
Same way, right? I mean, we didn't have a pot to pee in when we came to Raleigh. Our first house was our castle.
That's a really interesting point. And it brings back memories too. And it's circling back around to our original thing of defining what luxury is.
Right. Yeah. It's a hard thing to define, right?
Yeah.
Because it's individual.
Yeah. While we're talking, I'm trying to come up with my 10-word definition of luxury, and I don't think I can yet. But the home you live in now, is this your dream luxury home that you live in?
It's fascinating. It is. It's our home. We've lived in it for 28 years. We're redoing it again, right?
Wonderful.
It's been through many redos. Things that are important to me, money could never, it could buy. But I live in Northridge. I live in a fabulous neighborhood. Our girls walk to school. I'm the only house in Northridge that doesn't have anybody behind me off the golf course. So I have nothing but woods behind me.
Very nice.
I have beautiful ligustrum around the side. It's really a very, very private oasis. Can't hear traffic or anything. So to me, that's what's important, right?
Yeah.
And so it's never been important for us to keep up with the Joneses, right?
Yeah.
We feel like we are the Joneses.
We're trying to keep up to you, maybe. On this podcast, I regularly have entrepreneurial spirited individuals, everything from small business to a qualified doctor. I like to ask the question, what advice do you have for entrepreneurs, for folks that are trying to start their own business, or they're dealing with some growing pains, or trying to find employees? You mentioned it in the beginning of our talk here, being super customer client centric to your business and, making sure you're meeting all the needs there. What advice do you have to a young entrepreneur?
I really do believe this, right? I've been through it countless times now. If you're not willing to burn the boats, if you're not willing to burn the boats and go in head first, you're going to have people telling you all around you, family members, friends, telling you, hey, you're not worth it. You're going to feel imposter syndrome. You're going to feel yourself you're not worth it, right? So you have to deal with all those things. Entrepreneurship will uncover every single flaw that you personally have. And it's a true statement, right?
Yeah, it is.
And so you have to become comfortable and believe somewhere down in yourself, so much in yourself that you can make it. It's all perseverance, right? If you have perseverance and the ability to not be so dogmatic, this is the path I'm going, right? Be open to maybe you started down this path, but there's a different path. When I say a different path, a different road on the same path, just this offshoot, right? Surround yourself and do all you can to talk to people that have either done it before. There's nobody I've ever asked, right? And I mentioned earlier, I'm never ever going to be accused of being the sharpest knife in the drawer.
Okay.
Ever, right? So, but what I've done real well is I will go find the sharp knife and I'll sit down and ask them, will you help me? Most human beings love to help people, right?
Sure.
Especially if they see somebody that's hungry and that's really trying to do the very best they can. Those people will help, right? They'll provide what it is that you need to do. And then you start developing these mental models, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you know are going to serve you well. But it's perseverance, right? None of us I didn't just invent the real estate industry, right? And I'm not really, at the end of the day, figuring out anything wildly different. I'm just trying to operate. There's enough gaps in the way this is operated for so long that there are ways with the advent of technology for a boutique, somebody that's really focused to do real well. Everybody is not going to be an entrepreneur either, right? So that's something I believe too. But it's be willing to burn the boats, right?
Okay.
Put it all on the line because that's what it's going to take.
Yeah.
That you can't half-ass entrepreneurship.
No.
There's no way.
I used to teach middle school civics, and I would teach what an entrepreneur was. And I really focused on they have to be quite risky and put it on the line sometimes to achieve their dream.
If you talk to anybody that's been successful, started their own business, regardless of what the business is, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They have been through hell and back.
Yeah.
There's not a story that I know of where it didn't, all the things that I just mentioned weren't a part of it, right?
Mhm.
And even the most confident people, I'm a confident person, right? But there's days that crop up of like, damn, right? Hey, I don't deserve this,
Yeah.
or how did I get here? Whatever the situation is, right?
Mhm.
And you have to have a very, very short memory too. You need
That's
to wipe
true.
things out of your mind and make sure I think this is the most paramount part of it is why'd you get into that business to start with? And if it's just, I want to make money or I want freedom from my schedule, never going to happen, right? It needs to be the core thing. So our thing, like I've mentioned, is the obsession with the result for our client, right? So that's what we have. And if we take care of that and we put everything around that, everything else will come, right? Our
Yeah.
satisfaction, their satisfaction, money happens to come. So it all works out. So take whatever that chief thing is that you've originally got into business for and drive towards that and it'll work out.
That's excellent advice. I'll make sure I have your phone number before we leave here, because the struggles I'm having in my businesses right now are the growth of being able to remove myself from, like, I am the business pretty much. Like,
Absolutely.
I'm trying to remove myself so that things can operate if I'm not physically there. And I have a lot of irons in the fire myself, but I think that you seem well established. I want to learn more about like your business and your office and things, but do you find yourself able to remove yourself from your business? Does that ever go away as an entrepreneur, or?
Probably not. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that's a misnomer too. A, I don't want to get away from my business.
Yeah.
B, we are set up. My youngest daughter's a part of the business. She works full time with us.
Okay.
My oldest daughter is helps where she can. She's got a really good job on her own.
Okay.
And my wife's in the business, right?
Okay.
So we can control the four of us.
Yeah.
It's been, and I was talking to my daughter on the way over here, right? It's very, very tempting for me. And it's something that comes up in my mind every single day, what this could be.
Okay.
Right. And so when I say could be is adding additional agents out there, right? Teaching them the systems and what I know and doing all that. And I have zero doubt that we'd be very, very successful. But is that what every time you get bigger like that, you are losing, regardless of how good you think you are of a messenger,
Mhm.
you're losing that core piece that I was talking about, right? So that's why we will remain without question. I can get hit by a bus tomorrow, and I know the other three with the last name Wall
Yeah.
have shared the exact same values and are going to take care of that client. To us right now, that's it. But for other entrepreneurs, you'll see paths, right? Then it's just weighing things, right? I'm in a different place in my life now than I was when I was younger. Younger, it was like, oh, let's see how big we can get. Let's see how much revenue we can drive,
Yeah.
right? So, but now it's not that, right? It's
Yeah.
let's operate within this. When I say that, there's four of us, but there's probably, like I have specialists, and that's the beauty of being a boutique, right? So I have Brian Pate. He's the AI guru, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have to go learn that. I pay him and lean on him. So he's a part of our team.
Yeah.
We have a social media team, right? That's probably 11 of them.
Okay.
I lean on them. They're the experts with that. They just tell us when to show up and what we need to say and how we need to say it and the things that make a difference. Website, IT, the same way. So if somebody looked at our business, we did about $140 million in sales last year. And people said, well, just a couple of y'all did that. That's not really true.
Yeah.
Right?
I understand
It's really
that.
like
Yeah.
a team of probably 25.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't want to make believe that there's supermen and superwomen within the Wall Real Estate Group, because we're not.
Yeah.
We're very intentional about snapping on those people and those things that can really help.
Yeah. My business is family oriented as well. How is that balance for you? I've heard folks say a family business is a blessing and a curse. Is that true to you?
It's not a curse,
Okay.
but the three of them will be much better to ask, right?
Okay.
I know
Yeah.
for certain, and my youngest daughter will tell you, I'm not the easiest human being to work for,
Okay.
right? I expect a lot of myself, and that's what gives me. I've been called a workaholic.
Mm-hmm.
I've been called all kinds of different things, right? And all of it true, but it's where I get my satisfaction. So we were
Okay.
talking on the way over here, right?
Mhm.
Like I enjoy working 7 days a week. I enjoy this business. I enjoy figuring out how we can better serve people. Is there another marketing thing, or is there a different system? Do we need to be using AI differently to help these folks?
Yeah.
And that's where I get my joy now. So I am an empty nester, right? So they don't live with us. So
Okay.
they just work with us. And
Yeah.
so there's that balance. Now, my wife's a different story, right?
Okay.
We have to live in the same house.
That's true.
But we are so totally different about how we do our business. She is very, very detailed oriented. That's where I first knew that we could be very successful in the real estate space
Okay.
if we joined together, because she had skill sets that I didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
Not only didn't have, I could never, ever cultivate, because it's not my DNA.
Got it.
She's so detail oriented and cares so much for people. And I give her a hard time, right? I do all the time. And it's unjust about, you're spending this much time doing this, right?
Right.
But then I step back and I'm thinking about it at night. Well, that's why we're successful, right? It's because she's doing those things and she's teaching those things to our girls, and she's looking out for the very best of the business, the relationships, and making sure we're maintaining those. So it's not without its battles internally, for sure.
Yeah.
But hey, we've been married for 30 years now. She knows the good, bad, and ugly
Yeah.
with me, and has learned to deal with it.
Yeah.
But I'm not easy to work with. I'm positive. And it's just my whole thing, Grant, and this has been it for a long time, is I want to be better tomorrow than I was today. How
Right.
can I get a little bit better, right? It's a game. I'm very, very competitive. I've always been very competitive, and business has fueled that piece of what sports used to, what that
Yeah.
used to feel. So it's a really fun game, and you're helping people. So yeah, but I don't expect them to work 7 days a week, right?
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
And they're quick to tell me they're not going to work 7 days a week. They'll work 6
Good.
and work. But
Well,
it's-
even 6 is a lot. You
yeah,
know?
it is. We work long hours.
Yeah. We do too on my end. The employees I've had in the past, I had to ask a little bit for their grace, because it's a different dynamic. Like there's babies in and out the office, dogs, and hey babe, I'm gonna grab some milk and on the way home, and it's a little bit of a different dynamic sometimes when a family is providing a service, or I guess maybe if you have outside employees, they have to kind of meld to that family atmosphere.
True, but it's not. It's exactly why I don't want to get bigger.
Okay.
Because I've had bigger organizations in which responsible for 120 people. That's 120 families,
Yeah.
right? So you're more concerned with that. The bigger you get, the bigger the problems and the issues get. So
Sure.
we're trying to keep it simple and serve a niche audience
Yeah.
the very best we can, and it's working out, and it should work out in the future.
That's excellent. I think that you are looking for better clientele or the more custom luxury, of course, jobs than more. I guess it's better to have that finite dartboard on who your perfect customer is.
And we look hard for that, right?
Okay.
What's the ideal customer profile of who we're looking for from a sales and marketing standpoint, right? From where are we putting our marketing dollars? Who are we trying to attract? But the byproduct of that, in which the lovely part of this business is, we don't ostracize anybody. Like it goes back to what I was talking about, the satisfaction that we get from the first time home buyer, or the people that are working their ass off to make a certain amount so they can buy their first house. That's where we were. It might have been 30 years ago, but it's fresh in the mind, right? While the concentration certainly is luxury, that's where we're known. That's our world. We're have the values and the wherewithal to know, where we came from and who we truly are.
Yeah.
That's who we are. And so it doesn't, the amount of money or the amount of sales or anything like that is never, ever going to change who we are at our core.
To the listeners of Workspace Podcast and wherever this podcast makes its way to, could you tell the listeners what a good contact or a good referral for you is? How can they get a hold of you if they're interested in a luxury home or want to learn more about that?
Yeah, certainly. You can go to wallrealty.com.
Okay.
Very easy. WALL realty.com. You can see our website. We would 1000% welcome anybody, any reference, any questions. We answer more questions than we do anything, right? And so I have the moniker Instagram, Ask Steve Wall. I really, truly want people to feel free and know they can ask a question and go get an honest answer. And it's not a sales answer, right? It's answering whatever question it is that you ask to benefit you. You go use whatever realtor you want to use, right?
Sure.
And like I mentioned before, we're not going to be for everybody. So the person that is looking for a house in Youngsville or Franklin County, somewhere in that area, they need to call Brian Pate, not Steve Wall, because I don't know the neighborhoods or anything around there.
Yeah.
Same for Carrie. And we have a referral network, right? So I can get them in touch with people that play in their price range, which is very important because they know the neighborhoods in those price ranges and the people, the realtors that are really good.
Yeah.
So anybody that want to call, we're here to help.
That's excellent. I really love how you captured using your resources, keeping folks close to you. You seem to be an individual that has a guy for something or a gal.
Always.
That is really valuable in many trades. And I'm glad that we're bringing up and highlighting that topic for listeners because I learned early in my life, I'm still in contact with some college professors, some high school teachers even, that either instill their wisdom or know somebody else that can help with that particular issue or question that I have.
No question. And it's been such a blessing, right, to be associated with one of the premier luxury builders in the Triangle, Raleigh Custom Homes, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are true partners. And
that's awesome.
So if somebody needs, like, who's a plumber, who's an electrician, who needs drywall, like any question whatsoever, not only do I know who, I can go get it done and get that person done. So it's been a great partnership from that standpoint. And, just trying to add value, right? You don't even have to be a client, just adding value to every conversation that we have.
Yeah, amazing. Before we wrap up, outside of the luxury real estate, Steve, what types of things do you like to do? Do you have hobbies? Do you play music or run into people on the pickleball court or what's that like for you?
I was asked this question. There's getting ready to be a publication out and they were doing an interview and they were asking me the question, right? I enjoy work, right? So it is a hobby and it is the part of trying to get better each day.
Yeah.
So that's something I truly like. I get people ask all the time, why are you still working like that? Well, that's why, right?
Sure.
It feeds me. But as far as recreation is concerned, I like all sports, right? I love hunting and fishing, saltwater fishing.
Okay.
Spending time at the coast. We do that, not as much now. It goes back to, you have to make a decision if you have the energy to dive in and do something, because if you're going to dive in and do something, or if we are, we're going to try our damnedest to be the very best.
Yeah.
That requires a lot of energy, and some of those things get kind of pushed away, but for good reason, right?
Yeah.
There's if you can wake up in the morning and when your feet hit the floor and you're ready to go, then you have found the right spot.
Yeah. Do you sleep in the clothes you're going to wear the next day so you can get out of bed and get?
No, I'm a very, very early riser.
Okay. Yeah.
But I go to bed early as well.
Okay.
Right? I am no good to any human being in this world after about 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah.
I know several successful people that that's their ticket. They wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning and
no distractions.
That is one of, I think, the elements to wealth is to be an early riser. What's the old saying? Healthy, wealthy, and you know,
early to bed, early to rise.
Thank you. Yeah. That's what it is. My father is a dairy farmer, and so he had to get up early. And,
oh, sure.
And, but he had that internal clock, and there were times, his 40-hour work week was done by lunchtime on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So there's certainly value to that. Is there anything else, Steve, that you feel you want to let the listeners know or the world know? Maybe anything we didn't cover about luxury realty to what makes you tick?
I think we cover most of everything. If I would leave anybody with anything, right, and it's the entrepreneurial thing, whether you're in luxury real estate or whatever business you're starting, right, it's, again, be willing to do whatever it takes and burn the boats. Don't go in half-ass, right?
Okay.
Go in with everything you've got and surround yourself with people smarter than you will be, and you'd be surprised where you'd get.
That's excellent. Well, that's Steve Wall here. Thank you for your time. It's been wonderful to get to know you and learn about your field. Grant Paxton here with Workspace Podcast, signing out. All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
A business hub where you can go. It's a workspace provision code. A business hub where you can go.